Let's hear some fills.
Leave that in there.
Oh my God.
I would have loved if you had headphones on for that. It'd be great. It is like my default mic test sound.
It is.
Yeah.
You do it every time.
I do it every
At
single
shows?
time. I like during sound check. Yeah,
Oh, sound checks, you do it too?
I'll do it at sound check. It's like the first thing. And they're like, all right, we're gonna check center vocals. Hey, I don't know if it's like. I think it's from a.
Green flag for a band.
Yeah, I think it's from a Jimmy Fallon skit from SNL.
Oh, no kidding.
Where he's like a radio jock and he's like, and we're back. And I don't know what the bit is really, but anyway, so there's that. Welcome to the Musicians Movie Club. Yeah, I'm Dan.
I'm Tommy.
And you asked
I'm
for
drums.
On drums tonight.
On
Nobody
drums.
asked for it. What are you talking
Everybody
about?
asked for this.
Nobody asked for this. I asked for this.
We're doing something new on the podcast right now.
It's true.
And what we are doing is we have our friend Bridget Stiebris here
Hey.
of OK Cool fame.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And Bridget has not seen a lot of movies.
Okay.
Are there lots of movies you haven't seen? Let me rephrase that.
Starting off with an attack.
That wasn't an attack.
I think
there are
that
there are lots
relative-
of classic movies you haven't seen.
I would say that the meter here is a little bit skewed.
That's fair.
You guys are really into movies.
I also just phrased that completely incorrectly.
But I haven't seen a lot of them. Is
Yeah.
correct. And that is, I think, also, there's an outlier situation here again with the fact that most of my life, my young life, was spent just watching The Lion King repeatedly. So, I missed out on a lot of other things that were happening at the time that I was just not really concerned with.
But
so.
you didn't miss out on absorbing all of The Lion King, which is equally as important.
Yeah, and thank you for the validity it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you
I'll
so
always
much.
be here to affirm you.
Yeah. But anyway, so I have this big watch list now of just things that I hear about that are really cool. And, why'd you pick this one?
I think you picked this one a little bit.
I think we all picked this one.
I wanted to do Vertigo. I love
Did
this
I
movie.
actually
love
pick
this
this?
movie. You had mentioned it at one point, I think.
I gave you guys a bunch of
we were all
options.
talking.
Yeah.
I feel like we were just sitting around talking a little bit and talking about movies that we might do on the show with you. And
Yeah.
I think I heard it come out of your mouth.
I don't
Well,
think
really
we were
quick-
even in the same room.
no,
thought we were texting.
No. I think it. I'm pretty sure, like, because I think it was on a.
So much for listening to women, but
No.
hey,
Hey! Somebody make a clip of that and put it on a button so I'm going to hit it
Yeah.
during the podcast.
probably the most apt choice for a music movie podcast, though.
Yeah. Do we have a name for this segment officially, Dan? Did we decide on the one we had talked about?
This
Does
is
Bridget know it?
called BridgetVision.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
Like Eurovision?
No, like
Or like WandaVision or like
yeah.
anything with
Okay.
vision in
I like
it.
how I wasn't informed of this choice at all. But
Yeah.
Well, you
of
are
course.
now.
all right,
That's the point.
okay,
Now you know.
all right, that's fine.
This is episode 1 of Bridget Vision.
it's kind of giving that so Raven.
That's kind of cool.
Well,
Are you mad at it or are you just.
you mad at me? No, I'm not mad. I just think it's curious how you ended up there. Were there anything else in the running?
We did not think that hard about it.
No. There was one other thing in the running, but I'm not going to bring it up because it's not what the thing's called.
I already
Do you know
forgot,
Is
I
it
already
not
forgot what
PC
it was.
or what was it?
It was like Bridget hasn't seen this.
Oh, it
or
was like the
something.
Scott Ackerman.
Yeah,
too
and
close to that.
I am
yeah.
leaning that way, actually.
Scott Ackerman already has a podcast called Scott Hasn't Seen. So it was like,
Okay, this is a segment.
Oh.
It's apples and oranges.
well,
Podcasts,
Whatever.
segment. It's all semantic.
Whatever. Have your BridgetVision. I don't care. It's fine. I haven't seen it.
everybody can have their own little headcanon at home. So
It's true. I haven't seen this.
no, I think I feel like I remember you mentioning it. So you must have some like history of people bringing this movie up to you or something, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, anybody in that periphery of your life that's like, oh, have you seen this?
Have we said the name of the movie yet, by the way, as we keep teasing this?
Well, the
No.
episode title will say it. So
That's true. I guess I'll have that context. Yeah.
Whiplash, though. Spoiler alert.
Whiplash.
We said the name, but yeah, no. I mean, like, I play drums, so of course, people that just vaguely know that you like music or play drums will always do that. With any sort of music thing in the culture happening. If it gets enough steam. So yeah, but I don't know. Nothing really, just besides the old like, oh, have you seen that? You like that? You know, as
you
it
like
goes.
drums and being verbally abused? I don't know.
Of course.
The two things everyone that watched this movie love. Dark movie.
Dark
Yeah.
Knight. Sorry.
Shout out Michael Garrity. Great episode.
May he rest in peace.
Jesus Christ, he's not
He's
dead.
he's alive. I just talked.
No
to
more
him.
dead Michaels.
No more dead
Hold on.
Should we watch High School
You
Musical?
haven't watched that since middle school?
Why would I have?
It's a great movie.
That's true.
Oh my god, you'll laugh your ass off.
Okay.
Are you serious? It's
I
such a
haven't
good
watched it
time.
I don't think I've watched any of them since the third one came out in theaters, and I watched it in theaters.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a hoot and a half. Dan, have you seen High School Musical?
Of course. I actually, when it came out, I remember the like week after that, somebody in my 4th grade or 5th grade class had taped it on VHS
Yeah.
and brought it to school. And I don't
Roll
know.
in the TV.
We wheeled in the TV, and I don't know what was the occasion to where this was allowed.
The movie
But
came out. What are you talking about?
We watched High School Musical on
Dude.
in class.
Did you go
with
some kind of
the
woke school?
commercials, bro. Like taped it off TV, so we just the commercials ran.
Dude,
Laziest teachers.
was that somebody's class project? Show and tell? I'm going to show you guys this movie.
Feature-length film.
Let me roll in this TV real quick. I got something to show you guys. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Have you seen it since?
No.
Oh my god, you guys. Okay, Dan and Tommy haven't seen it in a while.
Dan and Tommy Vision, High School Musical, but they kind of have seen it.
Dan and Tommy Vision, High School Musical Vision. Haven't seen it, Vision.
Yeah.
High School Musical Vision. It's a podcast where we show people High School Musical.
Dude, that movie, oh my god. Like, the second watch when you're an adult is hysterical.
That's
Hysterical.
Exciting. That's exciting.
Oh my god. I would love to watch that with you guys.
Well, anyway.
Anyway, we're not talking about
I
that
literally
today.
don't
So
know how I'm going to cut that into the regular podcast.
Yeah, we can just...
So, why, people, you're a drummer.
sure. Okay, derogatory.
For J.K. Simmons in
Parentheses
this movie,
derogatory.
kind of.
True.
You're a
He's
drummer.
not a drummer.
No.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Go on.
The main character?
No, J.K. Simmons.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
line in the movie where he says,
Which one's Whiplash? Sorry.
Stevie Whiplash, the main character.
No, there's that one line where he's like, I'm sorry to the musicians, when he's like addressing everyone that's not a drummer. And I was like, damn, that's a solid burn.
Oh, it's
Just-
messed up.
Yeah.
Say that to anybody.
What?
You just say that to anybody who plays anything, though.
That's true.
I apologize to the musicians and
It's
just
all a
leave out
joke.
whoever you're.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
mean. He's a mean guy.
Oh no, this is the first time I think maybe ever I've taken notes while watching a movie.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Wanted to remember my thoughts, but
Well,
yeah.
I
But
just- I'm
before
trying to-
I open that, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was just trying to flesh out the context for
Oh,
why
absolutely.
people are always giving you a hard time about not having seen this movie.
It's really not big. Not big. It's not a big deal in my life.
right.
I can't really overstate that. It's really not. It's not a problem.
What people asking you to watch?
I'm
the
not
movie?
like getting stopped on the street. Like it's really okay.
Every show you play drums, they're like, okay, but
Hey,
have you seen Whiplash?
Hey, have you seen?
Maybe back in 2014. I don't know.
Nah.
People
But you
people
went to
love
music
this
school
movie.
too.
Music school. That's
Yeah.
true. I did.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, definitely not the vibe that I experienced in music school. Definitely
Right.
not. I mean, there were moments where you do go down the line like he did, where it's terrifying, where it's like they just make you play one instrument at a time to find out who's the problem spot, and that is terrifying. But did not relate to most other things. And I also wasn't in jazz. I mean, I did jazz band in middle school, but when I went to college, I was in the classical sphere. So,
You didn't have anyone just really like aggressively angry about classical music?
I for music theory classes, and oral training, like that was definitely the most it got to like that absolute stress of just like this teacher's very serious, because I did have some very serious teachers, but as far as like physically threatening or
No one's throwing symbols at
feeling
you.
unsafe, I never
Yeah.
felt unsafe.
Good.
I felt I felt really challenged, I think, in those first couple of years, but I can't imagine how I would feel if a teacher started throwing things. I don't know what. Have you guys ever had a class where someone threw something, like a teacher?
I don't know why I just raised my hand so people can
Tommy
see that.
raised his hand.
I raised my hand.
Yes, Tommy.
I had a small group leader at my youth group throw a chair one time because we wouldn't be quiet in middle school.
in
church.
middle school.
It was or like
That's
freshman year of high
worse.
school, but it was like middle school or freshman year of high school.
Those kids are young.
Yeah, we just wouldn't shut up, and he got mad and threw a chair.
Nuts.
Did anything happen to him?
I don't know. I still know him. I'm still friends with him. He's a funny guy. He did it half as a bit, but I think not everyone knew it was a bit, but I knew it was a bit, and I'm like, this is funny.
Was that how you coped?
Yeah.
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 I was like, it's just a bit. It's just a bit. This guy's so
We'll
cool.
in therapy next
This guy's
week,
so
but
cool, dude. This
He threw a chair. How funny. How silly of him.
He threw it in jest. It's crazy.
Well, it's funny because another one of our great cinematic heroes, Lydia Tarr.
Oh my god, I thought about that movie so much when I was watching
I fucking
this.
love Tar so much.
As like from my perspective on having taught in a collegiate or context, it's like I feel like a lot of times I am thinking way too hard about how not to offend or make anyone uncomfortable all the time. So like it is a pretty wide. I mean, like ultimately the point of this movie is so much more than just his behavior.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think about it pretty frequently on like, I really don't want to like make this kid feel like they're
that's due to a disease called being a good person. So.
Right. Sure. I mean, there's also like such a not to get too into like academic ethics or anything, but I also think I constantly
this is an
feel,
academic ethics podcast.
Right. Exactly.
wish.
Welcome to.
Shut up.
I love ethics.
I wish. You
This
guys
is-
would bring me down.
Lydia Vision.
Lydia Vision. I would talk about Tar for 10 episodes straight and be okay.
I'll call your bluff. Make the series happen. Let's go.
I'm down.
Okay.
Let's talk about Tar. Talking Tar.
Talking Tar. Stay
Holy
tuned,
shit.
folks. Anyway, so you pay to go to school, and a lot of times it feels like, am I giving this person an experience that is worth their money and their time?
Dude, I can't imagine. Yeah.
But then also at the same time, you're fighting against like, are you valuing the time and money you're spending here as the student? But anyway,
I was a student teacher in college for some English classes, and like obviously not the same like intensity because I only did like 3 classes a semester. But every time I was just like, they're paying me to they're paying to be here for me to talk to them about just like writing.
Yeah.
That was so strange to me because I'm just some guy. I was
Dude.
just some
Yeah.
like senior in college. Why? That's such a waste of money.
It's insane. I feel like I could never. I mean, I mean, from the limited time I spent, teaching guitar, like it was still a feeling of just like, I'm not an like, I don't, when money comes into play with something, it just really warps it. Like there's so much then like internally that you're kind of worrying about. So I actually completely understand what you mean. I don't think I could ever teach a college class. I can't imagine. Like, I think just that imposter syndrome, like, hits me so hard. I can't really imagine giving somebody a grade.
Yeah.
That scares the shit out of me,
Yeah.
honestly.
Well, it helps to if like my students were making like incredible shit and I was like, oh fuck, this is way better than anything I could do, then it would be hard. But like I am teaching a kind of entry level course that I feel like these are skills that I've known for a long time. Like I don't.
Yeah, but that sureness, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, I get
know.
it. Like I would have felt that way maybe a few years ago, but I feel like I've overcome that.
Yeah.
But
It's hard to do.
But like, I don't know. There's also an element of like trying to represent the institution that you're a part of and the expectations of like, are you giving them the education that is associated with this name?
Yeah.
And it all comes out in the wash of secondary education is kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
So anyway, Whiplash is
Well, a good parallel maybe is like I love the scene where J.K. Simmons is like playing piano at the jazz club. Like he's good, but he's
Oh
just
my
playing like
God.
very
I
boring,
thought the
smooth
same thing.
jazz.
I'm like,
he's
that's
not even that
it?
good.
Oh my God, I thought the same thing. I'm like,
just
all
like,
this,
wait.
and he's going to play 3 notes on the piano. Give me a freaking break, dude.
It's just like the most like generic, boring, smooth jazz I've ever heard, and I'm like, you were just like screaming at those kids.
And it's literally the simple, like, come on. I thought the exact same thing,
Yeah.
Tommy. I was
Yep.
like, are you kidding?
I think that's kind of genius. I mean, like,
It's funny.
not only for character development, but also like for the point of it. You know, I feel like he is not great in the way that he is pushing the students to.
We'll get into it. Well, I read that it is him playing the piano, so I think like I wonder where that started of that scene. Did it start? I guess I don't know. Did they cast J.K. Simmons for the did they write him this role, or was that after they had written all that into it? Because that's an interesting thing to think about, right?
Or did he learn it for that one scene? I don't know.
Because like J.K. Simmons is not a professional pianist,
right?
It's clear he can play some piano, but I think like I'm interested in if they wrote this role for him, or if they worked with what he had, and because I think that affects the intention so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't regrettably didn't look a lot into the trivia stuff on this movie. I had a lot of feelings.
Tommy's on the case.
I had a lot of feelings when I was watching the movie, though. I was like really energized. I was like, man, this is a fucking great movie,
dude. Yeah, it is a really good movie. So the first note I do have right off the bat is evil Mr. Clean. So he was wearing the same black t-shirt the entire movie. Tight.
I hope he washes
Very tight.
it. Or has at least seven of them he rotates through?
He washes it in jazz.
I mean, I think this was Tommy's Letterboxd review was about how the fashion of 2014 in this movie is insane.
Oh, he's not even the worst one. Oh my god, don't get me started on all those
Remind me.
So like you got students wearing like those like Henley t-shirts with the weird like natural cotton texture. You got deep V-necks, you got zip-up hoodies over those deep V-necks and fedoras. You got
of course
those like oversized polos, but the buttons are undone. You just see the undershirt just like fully exposed for no reason. Why are you wearing an undershirt over under a polo? I had so many sartorial.
People do still do these things.
I know, but I had so many sartorial, just like cringy moments with this movie, thinking back to 2014 and what like music nerds would wear. And I know because I was like, I know those people, and I was just like,
it's probably
oh my god,
still mostly the same.
They better not be wearing deep V's.
But J.K. Simmons,
we're not worship leaders in 2014.
J.K. Simmons in the like super tight black t-shirts, and he's jacked for no reason. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, there's a reason.
I mean, he's jacked because it shows
so he can throw chairs.
Yeah, so he can throw chairs.
Cymbals are heavy. I don't know
because that probably represents the fact that his character's a very driven person or a very focused guy. He's working on his biceps, but
could that? I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know much about him. He could just be yoked.
J.K. I mean,
rolling.
We don't mention that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who? Sorry, I'm looking up someone's casting stuff. I can't find anything.
It's all good.
I don't know. J.K. Simmons. He's probably just like he's a great actor. I feel like this movie was the one where he got his praise. He got his flowers.
He's always been good.
Time. Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh my god!
Role.
When it clicked, when I looked him up afterwards, and I was like, "That's J. Jonah Jameson."
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Oh my god! From the Bugle.
The yellow M&M. He's the yellow M&M in the M&M commercials.
Okay, that's weird.
It's awesome. Did you not know
Didn't
that?
connect
I don't know
that.
this bit.
Yeah, he's the yellow M&M.
I need
someone. The like dumb M&M is J.K. Simmons.
I need someone to overdub the scene with him throwing the chair and make it the giant yellow M&M.
It's one of those like, ooh, like that's J.K. Simmons.
That's hysterical.
It's like the really low,
that feels
like kind
so
of dopey
unnecessary.
voice.
It feels like they could just get anybody to say that.
J.K. Simmons.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Speaking of actors, the first thing I thought when I saw who plays, just the guy on screen who plays Neiman, I was like, oh, that must be John Cusack's son. It's not.
Wait, what?
I just felt that it should be John Cusack's son. It looks like him.
I can see that.
He looks just like him.
Yeah.
I can see that.
J.K. Simmons. I wrote that he reminds me of Arlie Ermey in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Like it's like the same energy.
It's like the same character, like complete with like the homosexual slurs and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, he loved those.
He loved
Never seen that movie,
those.
by the way. So.
Full Metal Jacket.
Bridget has
We'll add
never
it to the
seen that.
list. It'll upset you to your core. It is one of the most upsetting movies I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, I was kind of lit when I watched this movie. Let's just get it out there because I also wrote Arlie Ermey in Full Metal Jacket, but also John Kramer from Saw, and I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. I haven't seen the Saw movies for one thing, but I also just don't know what that means with the context I have.
I guess it's just because the Saw killer is like trying to get people to like improve their lives through like torturous means.
That's loose, but I get what you're getting at.
I don't know.
That's loose. Speaking of being lit while watching this, every time I referred to J.K. Simmons, I wrote Jacked King Simmons.
Oh my god.
I just wanted to throw that out there because all my notes say Jacked King Simmons.
That's funny.
Thank you. I think so.
You know, the thing that people always bring up with this movie, and also it's crazy to think about that this came out 10 years ago, because this is like really, truly, I guess, around the time I really first started getting super into like everything new that's coming out, all the new critical hits. And it feels like way more recent.
Yeah.
And of course, because like also like Damien Chazelle has had a crazy career since this and has become like
Which one's that?
powerhouse. The director.
He did
director
he
of
did
the
La La Land and First Man and Babylon.
Oh wow.
Or his other movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has he done anything else, or those the only other movies?
I
I think that's it.
Yeah. That's
I've
it.
only seen La La Land in terms of his other ones.
Yeah, I guess. Babylon was kind of a mess.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I know people who loved it though.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably wrong, but I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
I mean, you know, do as you see fit.
They're wrong for having loved something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
True. Across the board.
Sorry, total tangent, but they're wrong for having loved something reminds me of. Did you see that Tenet got like a huge resurgence in popularity over the past few weeks?
Yeah, they released it in IMAX.
I know, but like people were talking about it on Twitter and fucking
because
everywhere.
they finally saw it in a theater and understood that it's awesome.
That's
I
it.
still haven't seen it. Haven't seen that one.
All right, BridgetVision. Tenet.
We're not gonna.
I'll watch
no,
that tonight.
We gotta save.
if you guys want.
We gotta save Tenet for when Christopher Nolan comes on the pod. You know.
Oh, yeah,
that's
that's true,
the
that's
problem
true.
though. He has to come
Oh,
talk
Chris?
about it.
Chris Vision.
Yeah, Chris has to come talk about it.
Oh, good friends.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. He has to
I'll
come
come
talk
up.
about Tenet.
Yeah, shoot him a
So
text.
you can come, you can hang out when he comes.
Tenet tonight, Queen.
God, I love Tenet. Oh my god. And all the memes have made me love it more. I'm not gonna lie, because I realized how little of the plot I actually understood based on the memes people were making, and I'm like, I don't care.
Fuck, I went on like too many tangents and I forgot where I was going.
Oh, you're good.
Um,
Well, I have a note that I think is
shoot.
funny. So
Go for it.
I wrote down when he first chooses. Okay, well, let's establish this. So, you know, they're sitting in rehearsal or whatever, and Neiman is behind that other guy, and he's kind of switching them out, testing them against each other. I wrote that when he chooses one kid over the other, I said virtually no difference between those beats, and that's something that I really hate. You know, obviously everyone has their different affectation, but like they weren't doing anything wrong. Like
Well,
it was
so
fine.
Yeah.
what are you talking about when they're still in like, the beginner jazz band? And it's the redheaded guy and Miles Teller, and like when he's first scoping them
Who's
out.
Miles Teller?
main
Neiman.
character.
Connolly?
Neiman.
Neiman?
Yeah, the main guy.
Okay, just say Neiman. I can't.
Neiman. Sorry,
You're good.
I have all the actors' names written down instead of the character names.
I don't know. I guess just in general, I think across the board, whenever he was switching people out and comparing them, it was like, and especially I think more with the tempo, it's just like they were all fine.
Yeah.
Like
They're all fine, but the scene, I wrote this down for the scene where it's like when they're in like their first day of beginner jazz band, and J.K. Simmons, Terrence comes in and he's like having the redhead and Neiman
yeah,
switch out. I thought Neiman was like way like more robotic than Miles Teller's style of drumming. Like I noticed the difference in that scene specifically and wrote it down because I was curious if you did, but it sounds like you didn't.
I thought they were both fine.
They're both good, but I thought Miles was like looser in a way that I thought was like
Miles is
better.
which one?
Sorry, Neiman.
Neiman. Okay.
Neiman. I need to get used to that. I wrote Miles Teller for every single note I wrote.
All good.
So there's a whole
You can also say John Cusack's son. And
Okay,
I'll know who
that's
you're
better.
talking
That's
about.
Son Cusack. So there's actually I think there's a couple ways to look at that, which I think in general my impression was always, and this is coming from somebody who really couldn't tell the difference in a lot of these scenes because I'm not a percussionist. I don't know.
You can say it. It's okay. Safe space.
You have no right to an opinion on this.
Correct.
Dan.
Correct. But I think more often than not, I assumed it was all a larger mind game.
Yeah.
Again, John Kramer
Yeah.
from Saw. Larger mind game that he's playing where he seems to, and I assume that we're meant to believe based on the opening scene when Miles Teller Neiman was playing alone that J.K. saw something there where he said this guy could be one of the all-time greats, right? And
when he's in the practice room?
Yeah, and the whole movie is based on the crux that you believe that J.K. is has this grand plan to push him through all these obstacles and break him to the point where he becomes great, throwing the cymbal at your head as the central metaphor. So I believe that a lot of the times, even when he's testing against the other drummers or whatever, he doesn't think those other guys are going to be great, but he thinks Neiman could be great. So even if they're playing the same beat.
Yeah.
Right.
He's using that as a way to make him feel bad, which he does in like maybe the first scene that he plays in the studio band or whatever.
Yeah.
He's pretty obviously singling him out and making him feel bad and trying to put him under pressure.
Yeah.
I think pretty much every interaction they have in the entire movie is to that end. You know?
But it's also just so messed up because, you know, like this is something that these people are paying for.
Yeah, that
Like,
that ethical
they are
conversation never comes into play in this whole movie.
Paying for that treatment. Like
Yeah.
that is like just a complete, I think, oversight of what your responsibility as an educator is. Like, I think like it's in a way, it's like, you know, he's just banking on like riding somebody's coattails to fame or whatever. And it's just so messed up. Like, and I guess like I'm just mad at nobody because he's a character and he's not real. But yeah, it's just, you know, just giving 2 seconds of thought to everybody else in that room. Hey, what the hell?
Yeah.
Can you imagine being a kid in that band? Oh my God. Like, what's the point anymore? Like, what is the point?
To say that you're in the top jazz band at
You're
this fake
terrified.
school, I guess.
It's
yeah.
not worth it.
No, but for
Oh my
them
God,
it
you're
is, and that's part of
I
what's
cannot
fucked up.
imagine if I was in an ensemble with it. Actually, okay, I was in an ensemble. I hated. There was a terrible teacher, but even he wasn't anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
I was terrified going in. It sucked. It was a mandatory class, and it was like a gen ed. It was a choir class that I had to be in for music school, and it sucked. But like, I did my time and I got out. So, you know, but like, you know, if it's the kind of thing where it's like there are levels to these, and you can be in a lower level where there's not a teacher who is abusing you, like, oh my God, like, what are you guys doing? Get out.
You want to
know?
have the bragging rights. I think that's all it is.
It's not worth it.
Well,
Or
so
the clout
okay.
to like do bigger things afterwards, so you can say that you made it through or whatever. Maybe.
I also wrote, didn't realize drum lackey was a position.
That sounds
Page turner?
terrible.
With the turning the pages, I was like, oh shit, are there usually 2 people sitting at the drum set, like turning, like,
I have no idea. I mean, when I was in jazz band in high school, because you can't have more than one drummer at a time. I feel like that was a thing, but like it wasn't like a hierarchy.
sense.
It was just like taking turns.
right.
But my jazz band in high school, I think that kind of was a thing.
I mean, it makes sense. You literally
Yeah.
can't be turning pages when you're drumming. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just never thought about that.
So I think it was interesting. You know, you're talking about it's not worth it. You know, for that whole odyssey of manipulation that he's going on, which I connects back to. This is actually the thought I was trying to get across earlier that I forgot about, which is the question that has remained about this movie is like, who do you side? I feel like that your regular film viewer person, this is what they got out of this movie was who was right or whatever.
No one.
Yeah, and it was like I think it's just so much more interesting than that. You know, it's like so basically what I got out of this, and I again like really stimulated me watching this movie this time was it's really a movie about like what I consider like it's about perfectionism, and it's about like basically worshiping at the altar of art. You know, not really so much about like, oh, being good. It's about like believing in art as like a force or a religion almost beyond like the greater well-being of humans or something like. And I
Right.
feel like that's kind of what the J.K. Simmons character is getting into. You know, he you know, I don't think that the benefit to him is necessarily like riding the coattails of the greatness. I think it is like he's like a cultist almost.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
that.
Yeah, and it's like he believes in the greatness of the potential greatness for this, mythological existence of a great artist.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they bring up Charlie Parker a lot and the throwing the symbol, and that's like their main, tangible way of looking at it. And I think that it's really interesting to me. I have always like been super interested in like in artists' lives and biographies and like what people did and what they went through and how they evolved. And specifically like like right now, like I just finished the Keith Richards book or whatever, and like that I've been obnoxious about it for like a month. I like haven't shut up about
fun.
it. Yeah, and I
enjoy it.
But it's like it's affected me profoundly because it is something that's very important to me. And now I'm not saying I'm J.K. Simmons, but I do think that like
I do love Harry Potter.
I do. but that's a drums movie.
Just a little drum lingo for you guys, but
Yeah.
you guys
But
wouldn't know.
you would know if you were in Juilliard.
It's a little jazz.
Schaefer Music Conservatory. Thank you
Sorry.
very much. The
Sorry.
top music
Chafing.
conservatory.
Chafer music.
Chafing music.
But like I think there is a certain kind of mentality of a grind set, if you will,
God damn.
that I think is kind of like presented here, and it's like, of course, this movie is about the most exacerbated possible situation, but there is kind of this very, very tiny little gem at the core of it that I think is really interesting and like kind of persuasive almost. It's like I think the symbol being thrown at your head thing is like a really interesting metaphor, and it doesn't mean that like you need to have a symbol thrown at your head to be a great artist, but like there are people who believe that, and that like it kind of starts to poison your brain a little bit if you are an artist.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, for me too, it's like one of my idols also David Lynch, right? And I read David Lynch's autobiography, which is fascinating because he is a singular human being, and is like, for example, right now in the midst of a divorce, and I saw this Reddit post about it, and they're like, okay, I heard that David is in a divorce, and this is probably his 6th wife.
Oh my God.
And I know this from his book too, is that this man spends his entire life force on his creative works. It's why he like has that YouTube channel where he like posts about the weather.
I love
like
that
funny
shit.
numbers and stuff. Dude, when that started during the quarantine days, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But this is a guy who has dedicated his entire life and every like waking moment to his pursuit of art. And I think that is kind of maybe the through line that this movie is touching on, and I find it really interesting.
This is related. David Lynch, I can't remember where I saw it, but it was like an excerpt either from his autobiography or from something he was talking about where he was like, I went to therapy exactly one time and I asked, do you think this will impact my art? And the therapist said, yes, probably. And then he left the room and never went back to therapy. I was just like, what the fuck?
Well, his version of therapy is transcendental meditation, which supposedly is its own cult, I guess.
Yeah, but it was more like he wanted to work it out in the art itself, I think is what he was getting at, versus like in the therapy room. And he thought that would like impact the subconscious, whatever, being channeled through his films. And I was like,
okay,
he's a nut. Okay. He's a bit of a nut.
I
love him.
I like him. But I haven't stopped thinking about that since I saw it. I was just like, God damn, I like therapy.
And as a kind of corollary of that, I also was thinking a lot about how like, and this has kind of shown itself in a lot of different things that like hobbies and things of mine, is that I've noticed that now in like 2024, you find that perfectionism is so much more prevalent. And I think it's because of the way that information is so widely available. So we have the access to basically the entire recorded history of jazz music. Mm-hmm. And so like a story like Whiplash, which is about a person pursuing jazz music as like to be the greatest and to be perfect, and like those standards have been raised impossibly by that access. Yeah. And I think that it's shown in all kinds of things. Like when I used to watch soccer a lot, the difference in the level of play between like 17-year-olds now versus like legends in the 70s is like they're not even worth comparing. It's because the game has evolved with the skill. And I think that's based on access. Same thing with pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is way better than it used to be. I think music is like, people have had the access. They can synthesize so much more information into something greater and like with higher standards and higher expectations. I
think part of that is also just due to like literal time passing, right? And like more. Yeah. I think that's in tandem, right? It's the fact that since time passes, technology evolves. And since time passes, more people are birthed that want to explore this, and then they have the resources built upon the history of whatever the craft is. I think it's just like it's like if there's literally more data to look at and ways to access the data, then there's just more resources in general.
Totally.
Right? Like time is a resource, I think, too. So, yeah, that's an interesting point.
And I think the difference and the maybe even another like point of discourse that maybe this movie raises is like, okay, so Charlie Parker with the symbol at his head, that's like an organic thing maybe that made him grow and made him into the person that he was, versus this is like this kind of synthesized version of it where
like an
he's
imitation.
He's being forced that way.
Oh, it pissed me off so much. I mean, I have a note that says when when Neiman and Fletcher reconnect in that cafe when he plays his show, Fletcher recounts how Charlie Parker got good and said, what if he was just told good job? Like there's no middle ground between good job and abuse. That really pissed me off. It's just like,
yeah, it's fucked
okay,
up.
this guy's, because the Charlie Parker point only goes so far before you remember all the other people that became great and didn't have to go through that. And it's like, oh, actually, maybe there are a lot of other paths besides, horrendous abuse.
Yeah, maybe being like genuinely encouraging can also be a valid way to become great.
And much less permanently psychologically damaging, just, I think that the thing that I saw most in this movie was honestly just kind of things that kind of spoke towards the cycle of abuse. And I think that it can be translated in so many different ways. I think like it was so evident in the way that the other drum partner in that class, the way he took out his aggression that was fed to him through Fletcher, the way that he immediately turns to Neiman and gives him the exact aggression. It's just a transfer of it.
Well, maybe Neiman shouldn't have lost his his sheet music.
Right. But then, of course, when Neiman's practicing, he's like, he says fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
He's in the practice.
And he internalizes
it's not his voice
himself.
anymore,
right.
And I think that, I don't know. Like, I know this movie isn't about like families or whatever, but it does remind me so much of just like those like generational patterns of abuse. And you can just see how clearly someone can internalize those things in that language and start to speak in a voice that isn't their own. And it's just really sad. It's just really sad. And I think like the other thing I noticed was that there were just like no girls in the jazz band. I thought that was kind of odd.
There was the one that he says, "Are you just here because you're cute?" Like,
and that's in the first
that's
jazz
horrible.
band.
Yeah, it's awful.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that also like, that's real.
So I think it is a little bit about families too, though, because his father in the movie,
his dad's so nice.
He is, but you will like notice that all the interactions that they have are kind of there are more subtle slights at.
What do you mean?
So
I don't think I must not have noticed.
There's the dinner table scene where it's like him and like
my
the
God,
extended
the dinner
family.
table.
What comment does the
right.
dad make at the end of that scene? I didn't write it down, but is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, and it goes all the way back to the beginning though, because when he goes to see the movie with his dad, right? He puts the raisinettes in the popcorn, and he says something like,
I just eat around them."
Oh yeah, I just eat. He's like, "Well, you didn't have to do that." He's like, "Well, I just eat around them," and it's like there is sort of a people pleaser quality to that, and then also like. His dad being kind of like, frustrated. And I think it kind of continues through his character throughout the rest of the movie. Again, my notes are so fucked, but because I...
That's a good point. I remember. I just thought that was funny. Yeah.
But I think his, like the Paul Reiser dad character continues to show things like, he's like, well, you went for your dream, it's okay. And he's like, kind of like, I feel like there's kind of maybe a little condescending tone in it.
Yeah.
And so, it's like ultimately you can kind of see the connection between his dad and J.K. Simmons, which is, or maybe I'm just projecting. It's like, it's like it's this, is it worth your dad's approval thing too? The dynamic between him and his teacher is like not so different. And so finally when he gets, the dinner table scene is probably the most illustrative of their relationship, which ultimately is like, he's fighting and like, he's like, yeah, that's great, son. That's great. And it's like,
right.
But he's like, it's actually one of the best jazz bands. And the two football kids sit down and they're like,
oh my God.
We think we're going to make varsity or whatever. And it's like,
it's so painful.
And everyone's
it's
like,
so
that's
painful.
great. And I was like, that's perfect. It is kind of, it's a little cartoony. It's a little it's a little bit of a caricature.
I agree. It was a little camp.
But it is like, yeah, I get that. That's a pretty raw nerve. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
But I do think that if like, at least what I was seeing with the dad was sort of a similar dynamic where he's trying to please his father too. So
I think there was I don't know, especially when there's a lot of people, when it's not just one person too. I didn't get really an aggressive vibe from the dad as much as when, everyone was there and everyone's kind of putting that exact same like disinterest on him, and it just kind of compiles. is when I really felt that kind of like disapproval or disinterest from like the family as a whole. Because I did notice, like, you know, they do hang out and they watch movies, and, you know, he goes to his concerts, and, you know, I don't know. I guess I didn't get that same as much.
Yeah.
Especially when you have somebody like J.K. Simmons, like, I don't
Just
know.
so
Everybody looks
cartoonishly
really nice
worse.
compared to him,
Yeah.
so.
Right. I like the idea that maybe the concept was to show you the different versions of, like, because, you know, and this movie doesn't spend a lot of time with the father. So, but like, I think that just in those little moments, what I was kind of seeing was like, and again, maybe this is me putting something on it, but like, I felt like there was this kind of like passive support that kind of rings like maybe it's a little bit more internal subtext about their relationship and how that affects the way that he sees J.K. Simmons as a father figure in a way,
Sure.
because he's pushing him more, and maybe that's what he wants, but you know.
Oh, sure.
but
J.K. Simmons is also technically someone that like gets it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that plays into it as well.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah. I wrote down the bucket of blood ice shot was really cool.
Yeah.
If you guys remember that.
Yeah, I
When
think
the
I
hand
reposted
goes
that on
into
Tumblr
the-
back in the day.
Oh, my God.
Fun fact about, actually, this is just a fun fact. I saw an edited version of Whiplash on a plane when I was in high school. Like a censored version of Whiplash, where all the
What?
dialogue was censored, the blood was censored,
What?
all of it. So like things like mother flippin' were put in there, and like
Hell
gosh
yeah.
dang
Heck yeah.
pecker, whatever, just like all these euphemisms for just like him
Dude.
calling people cocksuckers or whatever it was. Like, and I remember the thing I remember most is that scene. They had to desaturate it so it didn't look like blood. So all of a sudden it was just like in black and white for no reason. Him putting his fist in the
That's
the
hard.
water.
And that wasn't the first time you saw it.
No,
was
I'd seen it before.
Okay.
I'd seen it before.
God.
Damien
but, like,
Chazelle didn't become a great director until he saw his movie cut.
on like a
To a
plane
plane
ride. I
version.
think I was like, I think I was going to London or something. But it was like the year that the movie came out because everyone was like talking about it. They showed it. It was the in-flight movie. For like the whole flight that they just showed on the screens.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was so bizarre. I was like, what the hell?
As a little personal aside, I just experienced something kind of similar to this, which is I just re-edited the trailer for Local Band, and all I had to do was take out the word "fuck," and I just, because I wasn't even thinking of it, I was like, "Oh wait,
I've been there.
I never considered that the word "fuck" shouldn't be in a thing that's supposed to be distributed widely."
Hey, Red Band trailer, baby.
and I took it out, and then I was just like, "Yeah, the line just doesn't have the same
No.
force, does it?"
Fuck has its place.
Yeah.
It exists
It
for a
has
reason.
its place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, "Wow, okay." That made me like think about it a little bit. I was like,
I
I can't wait for
remember-
the airplane version of Local Band.
Not to keep talking about my church, but I remember one time we covered Little Lion Man by Mumford & Sons, which
Yo.
famously says, I really fucked it up this time. I remember that was a whole conversation. It was like, obviously you can't say it at a church. But everyone was like, the song doesn't work. Like, even people at the church acknowledged, like, the song does not work without the word fuck. Like, we were all like, this
It
is
doesn't.
lame.
It's kind of at
I
the
really
core of
fricked
that
it up.
melody.
I really messed it up this
I-
time, and it just
I-
doesn't hit.
Yeah.
Sometimes
way.
you gotta have fuck in there. There's no better word sometimes.
100%.
I fully believe that.
I found one more note about the dad. He does have a line where he says, "His opinion really means a lot to you, huh?" And I thought that's a little. That's again like a little bit more hinting at the dynamics of them being
Yeah,
similar.
there being some sort of insecurity there too.
Yeah.
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 But I think in general, what I really appreciate about this movie is that I feel like the characters are all very full. They're
Yeah.
very,
Yes.
very strong characters.
Yes.
And I think the dialogue is really constructed and the storytelling is really strong.
I agree.
Like, I think just by the nuts and bolts screenwriting, like, the beginning of this movie tells you everything you need to know about all the characters, you know,
Yeah.
like,
I was not confused, which I always appreciate.
and it's
I
not,
was not confused.
and it's done without beating you over the head with it.
Yeah.
You know, what's your favorite line from the beginning of The Dark Knight? The joke. That's why they call him the Joker.
That's what they call him.
That's hysterical.
That's why they call him the Whiplash.
That's why they call it Whiplash.
But yeah, like I just felt like, wow, this is like, because the first scene is him in the practice room and discovering and then establishing, you know, what JK means to him in the school, how
Yeah.
he's going to treat him, and you know, as I said, like I feel like the narrative of this is the crux of what is the rest of the movie is to come. And it's like I think I mentioned this in a previous episode. It's like the idea of like it starting the story by showing you the players being the most them that they are.
Yeah.
You know, which is
I still think about you saying that. That's so great
It's
so
like
necessary.
it's like Miles Teller is being the most Miles Teller. He's working really hard and he's searching for their approval. J.K. Simmons is coming in. He's manipulative and shitty and rude.
He forgets his jacket.
Forgetting the jacket's amazing.
I love it.
Like,
Oopsie daisy, forgot my jacket.
Yeah.
Love that line.
Because you think he's about to come in and be like, just joking. The Joker famously said that.
House and burgers.
Dude, there were several points during this movie where I had my hand over my mouth. I was
Yeah.
shocked.
I can't imagine
Shocked.
watching this for the first time like now. What was your experience like? Because there are some
Well, I
really
was tapping
upsetting,
the whole
shocking
time. It was very
scenes.
interactive for me. I was tapping the whole time.
That's awesome.
Oh my god! I wished when I was watching this movie, I was like, I wish I could play along with this movie. Like, I'm so
Get a drum
like
pad
it was a
out,
very
yeah.
interactive movie for me. I was just like rocking with it so hard whenever they were playing. That just rules. I love watching people play drums.
Was the drumming convincing to you?
The only thing yeah, of course.
Good.
The only
I'm
thing
glad.
secondary to playing drums is watching people play drums
Yep.
and just like living vicariously through them. So I had a great time.
Hell yeah.
And that ending was incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. I could not, because it's so funny because it's like, thinking about what J.K. Simmons' plan was. Like, did he have a plan? Okay, so
He's
let's
Saw.
say
think so.
He's the bad guy from Saw.
literally when he said, but first we're gonna do a new one. I'm like, I'm like, I can't come back from this. I hate this actor. Like, I hate this man. This is an evil man. Like, there's no coming back from this. And poor Neiman walked out, and I was like, this is so fucking brutal. And when he walked back on, I was like, oh my God. I'm so proud of
yeah.
him. Like, oh my God. And of course, I know that's what JK wanted, a challenge. But it's like, what if he didn't, you just don't have a drummer? Like, what was your, okay, so I guess the other kid, right? Is that his plan?
Was there another kid there?
Realistically, if he had just messed up and walked away, what was J.K. Simmons' plan?
I thought J.K. Simmons' whole thing was just like he was that spiteful. He would sacrifice his entire performance just to get back at Neiman. That's how I read it.
Like, he's
that big an
but that's,
asshole.
I guess that's confusing to me because we also know he has a big ego.
Yeah, I think
So
the
it's
ego
confusing
plays
to me
into the
that-
spite. I think that was like more important to him.
Do you agree?
I believe I'm on the Saw opinion. I think he has everything planned in his brain. I think he believes at least this is the more entertaining version to me in my brain, which is I believe that he like has everything planned out. He knows exactly how all the pieces are going to tumble. This is how you movie
But he
a movie
seems
right
surprised.
here. Yeah, well,
I thought J.K. was surprised that Miles came
I think
back.
he was
that Neiman came
surprised.
back.
Well,
I think he did a lot of things that he didn't expect.
well,
I think that's why the ending works for me, honestly.
yeah.
I knew it was you. Oh my God, chills.
Well, Miles, and I don't know. In my mind, it's like the mythology that's really cool. That would be the throw the symbol at your head for Neiman in his later life would be I showed up and I took over that fucking show and I led the band instead of J.K. And I'm like, J.K. would love that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's the mythology. He made him great. He did it. He won.
He was already great.
I'm with Bridget. I don't want to give J.K. any credit.
Well, I'm not saying it's a good thing.
I think
You're
it's stupid. I think that's a
It
stupid
sounded
thing
like
to
you were
think.
kind of rooting for
I
J.K.
am rooting for
a little
J.K. a little bit, guys.
No, that man's dead to me.
Like he's a piece of shit and he's manipulative and abusive, but I kind of rooting for him to get his get
that
his
kid
get his
already
bag.
respected him. Like you don't have to do that. Like in no world do you have to permanently like. Remember that kid was so scared and so frightened that he made him crash his car and suffer severe damage. Like
And then he
that's
became
what
a
that shit
great
can do
drummer.
to you. Like yeah,
And then
shut
he
up.
played that song perfectly.
He already would have.
I
He already
know.
would have. Like sorry, he already would have.
I'm
Sorry,
with
no.
you.
Like
I'm
I
with
said,
you.
it's just more entertaining for me to play devil's advocate
Yeah,
on this one.
yeah.
This is like
JK's advocate.
JK's advocate.
Yeah.
I literally wrote down he's trying to have a Robert Johnson moment.
What's that? Who's that?
Robert Johnson is the mythological guitar player who sold his soul to the devil to be the.
Well, he's a real guitar
He's a
player.
real person.
Yeah.
But,
But
like
there's a
myth-
myth around
The
him.
devil went down to Georgia guy.
Yes, sort of.
Isn't that about banjo? I don't know.
That
what
is
song's
about playing fiddle, but I think
Oh,
they're
yeah,
like
fiddle.
it's a similar Southern mythology.
Yeah, where Robert Johnson like got his guitar playing abilities because he sold his
Oh, the
soul
Crossroads
to the
guy?
devil.
The Crossroads guy,
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So Robert Johnson, was real, but
Well, I don't know his name, so how good could he be?
He's pretty good.
He's on
To me,
Spotify.
the
He's
person
pretty
who
good.
hasn't seen many cultural moments in media, how good could he be? Are
he got one album out before the devil got him.
you serious?
Yeah.
Lame.
I like Robert Johnson.
We've all done more than that.
He's
so.
like, and we didn't sell shit.
We didn't sell shit.
You don't know that.
I didn't do shit.
I've sold so many things for guitar skills.
He's kind of the guy that is like Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, and all those like white British guys that
Like their guy.
and like
I guess that and Chuck Berry.
Well, I mean, Robert Johnson's like the 30s or so, like very
I guess
beginning.
he was earlier, yeah.
But like they still rep Robert Johnson, but they also like Chicago blues musicians, your Muddy Waters, and then I mean Chuck Berry from St. Louis, but
Hell yeah.
drinking Bud Light.
Drinking Bud Light, St. Louis represent.
Speaking of Bud Light, I need another Bud Light.
Sure,
Let's take a
let's
pause.
do it. For them.
Yeah, my jazz band instructor played fiddle in the military band or whatever. Yeah.
Are they out there like Civil War, like they had drums? Like is that
During the fighting, they're just like
Except
going
it's
around
jazz?
going like
No, he's playing like a Strat.
ripping a six
it's
solo?
like Mad Max, the guy who's
the
on
desert.
top of the
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
truck with
okay,
the
that makes a lot of
guitar.
sense.
Yeah.
Now that's a movie. Hey, that's a movie that I've seen.
I fucking love Fury Road.
And
Fury
now
Road's like
that's a
I'll
movie.
wait for the applause.
that she's seen.
That's a movie I've seen. Okay, that
fucking
was
love
fully in my
Fury
vision.
Road.
You could say
Oh my god.
great movie.
Great movie.
Very dry though. I was very thirsty watching it. That's
Sure.
Dry in the most literal sense.
why I don't want to watch Dune. I'll get too thirsty. Just so
Facts.
much.
Tommy, you saw Dune too. You saw Tune.
I saw Tune
have any thoughts
on
about that?
Saturday. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's anti-bald propaganda, like hardcore.
What?
Because the Harkonnens.
The Harkonnens are all bald, and I was
Oh,
like,
God.
"Fuck that!"
Oh my god.
But it was very good. It was better than the first one.
Do you think people in the theater were looking at you?
They kept looking over, going, "This fucking is he fucking?"
Is this
I
a
was like,
Harkonnen?
No, I'm not Harkonnen.
Whoa.
Yeah. The funny thing about so I got there really early, as I do for everything, because I suck.
No.
And all of a sudden,
Quite a
these two people
conclusion.
walk up and they're like, "Hey, is your ticket for this seat?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they pull up the exact same seat, and they're like, "We'll go figure it out. Just like stay seated. Like we'll figure it out." I'm like, "That's very nice. Like thank you," because I was already there.
What the
And then
hell?
a Regal like employee came out and was like, "Hey, I need you to come with me to like the help desk."
What? Good thing
They
good,
double
hey,
booked
good
my
thing
ticket.
you got there early.
Yeah, they
actually.
double booked my ticket, so I had to go sit in the
Whoa.
very. It was either the very front or the very back, and thankfully there was like one seat left in the very back. But I sat next to a guy who the entire time was doing like this with his leg,
Drums.
like,
Me as hell.
but, like
Watching
not like
Whiplash?
drumming stuff, but just like was like very was like moving the entire time. And at one point, like he was like looking over at me saying stuff, and I was like. What did he say? Did I already tell you this? I told somebody
This
this last
movie's
weekend.
great.
No, he was like, "Oh, I thought he died." He like looked at me and said, "I thought he died in the last movie," and I was like, "Guess not."
That's
Dude,
so
I would-
funny. That's me
dude,
as hell.
I was so mad.
Oh my god, I would beat the shit out of this person. Dude, I have so many bad movie
And
theater
one time he was
stories.
like, "I knew it," and I'm like, "What, knew what? I don't care."
I'm obsessed with him.
I didn't like him.
No. I
He
would
got
have
up like
been
4 different times to keep buying concessions. I'm like, it's not that like it's a long movie,
This
but
sounds
are
like
you-
a Tim Robinson sketch.
Dude, yeah,
Need
yes.
more popcorn.
I-
My mouth's so dry watching this. Dude, that's me.
Dude, I have had I'm like I have like a zero tolerance in the movie theater. You
I've-
shut
I've,
the
like-
fuck up, sit
Sure.
down.
I've gotten
phones in
angry
your
at
pocket.
people.
What about laughter?
Oh, fine. Any like
Okay.
organic reaction.
An
That's fine.
appropriate response to what is happening
Yeah.
is okay.
Hey, I
So,
don't know.
I have another.
That's contextual. Hey, I thought he thought he died in the last movie. I don't really understand.
So, my two favorites.
No.
When I saw Mission
talking.
Impossible, Fallout, or whatever one came out when I was in college, I don't remember. I think it was Fallout. A guy answered his phone during the movie.
No.
And started talking
one
on.
knows.
It was like a very empty IMAX showing. It was like so. It was like expensive to be in there. And he answered his phone. I got up and just moved seats. And then one time I saw when I saw Into the Spider-Verse in theaters, there was a family next to me that kept talking, and I said,
not the family.
and I said, "Can you guys shut up?" They were
Good for you.
They were our
Yeah.
neighbors. I did not recognize them. They were our
don't give a
neighbors.
fuck.
And my mom was like, "You should know them." I'm like, I don't care. They were talking.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's against the rules.
That's really brave.
Yep.
I could never.
I am so fucking brave.
Good
Hell
for
yeah,
you.
dude. Theater police. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Dude,
ACAB.
I have done it. I've done it too. I've shushed. I have shushed. I have
for you.
said, can you please stop talking? There was my worst one ever. I can't even do it justice. Was seeing The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, so who cares?
Did you know that was a movie?
It's the worst one.
Oh, you don't need to.
It's the worst
no.
Star Wars.
Let me promise you, this one's not going to be on BridgetVision. Hey!
Okay.
So anyway, Rise of Skywalker, it's like opening night. And it's a pretty packed theater. And first of all, this movie fucking sucked. And I was mad the whole time.
Same.
First of all, so the fact that there was a disturbance in this theater was like made it so much worse. So I went with about 3 friends. And
Give or take.
and Nick Wandersea. Nick Wandersea was with me. You know Nick.
Yeah.
And he's on my right. And then about 3-4 seats to his right was a group of 3. It was like a little girl, maybe 6, and then an adult man, you know, in his 40s, whatever, and then like a teenager. And I assume he's taking his kids to see this new Star Wars movie. And
Lovely.
We love it, right?
Love families. And
I'm neutral.
Movie
found families and just picking another family's last name for no reason.
yeah,
That was a reference to the movie.
yeah. But
It's bad.
even I
the
don't.
Wars, their last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wars.
Ray Wars.
Ray Wars. And it's like we get rolling and I start hearing him like talk, but like, you know how some people go to a movie theater, they think they're fucking Mystery Science Theater. Some people
Love Mystery Science Theater, by the way.
Some people think they're Mystery Science Theater. Some people
Well, are they funny?
are talking to no. Some people are talking like to their friends. This
Oh,
guy was
hell
an
yeah.
inexplicable third version where he was just talking out loud as if to himself. And it was like, oh, yeah. He goes, it's Ray like jumping around in the forest, and he's like, oh, the girl, she's a badass.
Oh, I live.
No.
No.
I do not tolerate this.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but if I was already having a bad time because I didn't like the movie, at that point I'd let go, and I'm like,
So-
that's hilarious.
You know, so they keeps going.
Oh, yeah, keep
There's
going,
more. He's like, oh, Chewie's
Love
dead.
a badass girl boss.
Did he fall for that?
Chewie's
Did
dead.
he fall for that?
Yes, he fell for the Chewie's dead.
Oh my god, that
And he's
jerk.
like, oh, he's not dead. It's like
No
he's
shit!
He's
That's
announcing his feelings,
hysterical.
and then his
hysterical.
his greatest hit, his banger. There's this really quiet moment where, and it's again terrible fucking movie. I'm so mad, and it's like this quiet moment, and it's Ray and
Kylo.
Rilo Kiley or Kylo Ren, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Are like having a moment, and she puts her hand on his cheek, and she goes, Ben. And then he just goes, Ben.
Hilarious.
And
That's
I was
hilarious.
like, where the fuck am I? And so during the screening, I'm like, the first thing I did was
Ben.
Ben. It's Ben. He's just like, I the first thing I did was just, again, he's like 3-4 seats to the right of me. Mm-hmm. First thing I did, just to lean over, try to make some
God.
eye contact, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
That's always what you do first.
You did a
Yeah.
lean.
I did a lean
Oh my
just to
god.
check out what's going on over here.
Yeah, and
Hey.
you guys can't see this, but Dan is actually leaning.
Yeah, I'm leaning over, trying to give everybody the experience. And this is a 2.5 hour movie, guys. This is probably
Oh
like
my God.
like 30-40 minutes in the movie. I
Should've
did a
been
lean.
80 minutes.
Another, I give everybody like a couple chances. Maybe this is just one outburst. No, this guy was steady.
Merciful God.
Yeah. And then I think Nick got annoyed enough to where he got up out of his chair and moved to the left side of the theater, leaving me to deal with it. Right.
Well,
Hell
So
yeah.
fuck me. And so
Hell
you
yeah.
could have done that too.
oh, you're right, but I stand my ground.
Okay. Hey.
I paid for my ticket too.
Florida
And
Pride.
So
I was just about to think of
Florida Pride flag.
Dude, don't tread on me.
Don't you tread on me.
So then I got to the shush. I gave.
Oh, here we go.
And I gave
What was the shush like?
Ready for this?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
So he's like, Ben, or whatever. And I'm like, shh.
That's a long one.
That's
Yeah,
really that's a fermata on that one.
And again, I threw the lean in with it because it's like, you know, I'm not the only person who was disturbed. I could tell that there were other people.
You were a hero
in
to
the
some
sphere.
people in that theater.
Yeah. So then he started doing disturbed noises. No. I gave him the long shush. It was
That's a long shush.
a clean, bold shush.
Yeah, that reminds me of when you're in the Simpsons credits, and that's when that one girl goes,
Oh yeah.
It was a Gracie Films thing.
Great show. We should have a podcast about that.
And I leaned over like maybe a third time after a while.
there was no response to you
No
at all?
response to any of that shit.
Yeah.
And then I finally lean over again and I'm like, hey, will you please stop talking?
That's generous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to be a dickhead. I've had other people be a dickhead to me in the theater. There's another story for another time.
Oh, interesting. Were you talking?
No. This is a pre-theater thing.
Interesting.
We can get into it if you want. But
Yeah, I will.
Finally, after maybe the third, after the verbal warning was issued,
He drew a yellow card.
yeah, I could tell that the teenage son, like made eye contact with me. He knew what was up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, still nothing. He keeps talking. He's just blurting out shit. Finally, we get to the last 5 minutes of the movie. My entire experience has been a fucking hellscape because of not only the quality of the movie, but my experience in the movie theater.
How will you recover?
And I won't. And finally, we're like 5 minutes toward the end of the movie. The guy said he's just on a fucking tear. He's just like, oh man, the Empire. I don't know what he's talking about at this point. And then
real.
finally, teenager son goes, Dad, stop talking.
Hell yeah.
And he's like,
Hero.
oh, sorry.
Oh. I mean.
No.
Sorry, I don't know why.
Fuck you. It was a 2.5 hour movie.
It took him that long to see.
Yeah.
Nope.
After numerous citizens were harmed in the screening of this film. Oh my god. I'm still like boiling thinking about it.
This is what the space is for, it's a safe space.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw Rise of Skywalker, it was also like opening week and opening night, whatever. I think it was opening night, but I can't remember. But it was like three guys next to me who were like pretty drunk, and they brought these very tall beers into the theater, and were like drinking them the whole time.
That's what I should have done, dude. That movie.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But I was in a theater where I think everyone in the theater was consented to we all hate this movie, so we don't care.
So funny.
So it was people laughing at inappropriate moments the entire time. It was so goofy. My favorite part was the very toward the end with the kiss, which Dan knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The guy stands up and goes, "This is a disaster," and everyone just starts laughing. It was amazing.
crazy.
It was the
dude.
inverse of what you're talking about. It's everyone was on board with we don't care anymore. This just ruined Star Wars
Right,
for
that's
us.
what I think.
Why
Like,
does it
just
matter?
Let go.
But this was the
Release your
opening night
inhibitions.
of the last Star Wars movie.
Okay,
maybe
last,
ever.
whatever.
I mean,
There will
They're
never be
already
a last.
developing the Rey sequel with Daisy Ridley. They've announced
The
that.
Reyquel.
Heads up, there's never going to be a last.
It's never going to end.
I know, but I'm just saying, for this generational event,
It
a way.
ended with 8 in my book. I don't consider 9 a
I
movie.
loved Last Jedi. I was
love
hyped.
Last Jedi.
I was coming into this theater let's go. This is gonna be super interesting.
There was
Yeah.
no way this isn't a Star Wars podcast. There was no way that JJ was going to respect anything Rian Johnson did that was a real creative decision. There was no fucking way.
Well, flashback to 2015, my friend, because I was walking into this theater all right, I love Last Jedi. I know that a lot of changes were made, but who knows? Maybe they double down, maybe they don't.
No.
And they didn't, of course.
I knew
But
there was no way.
Historically, now we know, huge disaster. But
Yeah.
I was walking in kind of hype, but it took me 30, 40 minutes before I totally realized what a sad
What was
sack of
happening
shit
to
that movie was. And so it was it just got so worse. I was just so pissed off.
Yeah.
Not just because the movie was bad, but it compounded with my experience.
Yeah.
And Ben, I mean that is objectively funny.
That's pretty
I can,
funny.
Yeah,
I
he
can
kind of slayed there.
I know. If you want to hear it, the other all-time great one was in college in undergrad. It was the first night that our local movie theater, which I think was a Regal, but a real shitty. This is Lawrence, Kansas, so real shitty, offbeat Regal, and it was the first night that they had ever done assigned seating, and me and 3 of my friends go to go see a movie called Don't Breathe.
I remember that
Do you remember
coming up,
this?
but I haven't seen it.
It was
Yeah.
about some kids robbing a blind man's house.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Yeah. Well, so the blind man turns out to be like a veteran, and he's got all these traps set up and stuff. It's kind of sick.
Oh, hell yeah.
So we get to the movie theater, and we got 4 tickets for my 2 roommates and one of my roommate Andrew's girlfriend Megan, and we go in. And I was the first person into the movie theater. The 4 seats that we had selected online earlier there's 4 people in them.
Sounds good.
And I was like, and these are like kind of bro-y, maybe like kind of like I don't know, some scruffy looking dudes, some like scruffy looking white dudes that I didn't want to mess with, on my own, by myself. So I'm like, I'm going to wait until everybody else is here. It's going to make a better case for the 4 seats that we have, So there's 2 more seats in the row, and I go sit in the 5th one.
Wait, so they're already taking your seats?
They're already sitting in our seats. But I just didn't want to have to fight a 4-on-1 argument.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll wait till some of the others come. And so one of my roommates comes up, and he sees what happens, and he like totally calculates everything that went through my mind, and he just goes
That's so funny.
and he comes and he sits in the 6th seat next to me. And so then finally Andrew and his girlfriend come up, and now we have all 4 of us have assembled, and
Avengers
have assembled.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know how to begin this confrontation. I was like, not.
Excuse me, sirs.
This is at a time in my life where I was probably a lot less confident in myself. I was like, and so Andrew's like, what's going, like, what? He's looking at us like, what? And I was, somebody goes, these are our seats,
Yes.
And so these 4 people, it's 4 dudes and their 2 girlfriends, and the leader, sets up, and he's
God.
like, what are you talking about? And we're like,
well, if it's the first night of assigned seating, there's a possibility they're both your seats, right?
No. Well, we'll get there. But
no? I'm assuming right now it's the theater's fault. So
we'll show you your ticket. And Andrew, we're sitting down already, so we're in a position of power a little bit. So because he's like,
sure.
he's the displaced one. So he's like, okay, I guess I'll go get the manager. Mm-hmm. So the manager comes in. She's brought the security guard, who of course is some lanky, noodly 19-year-old.
Hell yeah. Scary.
I'm totally fries with that.
and she's like, all right, can I see everyone's tickets? She verifies those are our seats, right? Mm-hmm. And then he's like, well, I didn't pick anything. I'm not fucking moving.
What?
And we're like, oh yeah, I mean. And then the manager's looking at us just like,
come on, girl.
And just starts, her eyebrows start raising, her shoulders start to go for the shrug.
Oh no.
That's not your, no.
And we're like, and
shouldn't this be a common, oh no, it's the first night.
She's like,
it's the first night.
She's like, we can refund your tickets,
What?
Sorry. To the people who are in our seats, like,
don't they have different seats though?
This was never discovered in this very brief and unfortunately carried transaction.
Wow.
So it was just like, yeah, I mean, we can get you your money back. You can get tickets to something else, and he's like, I'm not fucking moving. If you were gonna get, oh
man, are so scary.
And so it just landed on her just going, and just looking at us, and then Andrew finally, a very non-confrontational person, was just like, all right, I guess we'll sit somewhere else. So he and his girlfriend went and sat somewhere else. This was a sold out screening, I believe. So we were sitting in someone else's seats too.
That's what I was going to ask.
So there were 2 other guys, and they were like,
oh, it just goes down the chain then. Yeah. That's horrible.
And then these 2 people that had the seats that we were in had to be split up and sat on opposite sides of the theater.
Oh my God.
And then so the movie ends and we get out, and we're walking through the lobby of the movie theater, and Megan sees the guys that were sitting in our seats, and as we're leaving, she flips them the middle finger.
Oh my God!
Smart.
And then,
no, scary.
And
scary
so
move.
I was kidding. I know.
So then me and Nick, who was my other roommate, we drove together, right? And I've just been power walking my car. I'm like done with the I'm done with the movie theater tonight. I'm done.
Yeah.
I didn't see the middle finger or anything, so I'm like I've sped off. And then then I hear a tussle, and it's
Oh my god.
it's I'm gonna punch those glasses through your fucking face. And I turn around and it's them like in his face.
Oh my
and
god.
and I'm like, oh. And
Dude.
and he
it's
was just
not
like,
worth it.
he was just like, guys, you know, go away, you know, get out of here, like whatever, it's no big deal, like come on, get off it. And they walked away. They were, you know, posturing. But then we got home to the apartment and I was in trouble because I didn't stay behind and stick up with them. I didn't know what was going on. But I still think about that so often. I'm not fucking moving. I'm like, what a mentality.
Punch the glasses through your
insane.
face.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
Wow.
having that much like confidence?
That much
Never.
aggression. Like,
Justified or not?
Never in my life have I ever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
At a moment's notice. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'll go fuck myself.
I'm sorry. I
Oh,
will.
sorry.
I will leave the theater and never come back.
That was definitely my fault. Sorry. Oh my god, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine saying to somebody, I'm not fucking
I have a literal
not
panic
fucking
disorder. I
moving.
would have started
That's
crying.
crazy.
it's like, give him his fucking money back. Tell him to move. And
Yeah, you
give
have
him
one
the money
job.
back. No one cares.
Yeah.
Well, and then you go into the, she's not paid enough to deal with this.
True.
She's a woman. She feels threatened.
True.
Et cetera, et cetera. However, I think if I was in her position, I would have gotten a man on staff. I don't know. But if she's the only manager on duty, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks for her.
I mean, this
and
is,
you
you know, college town. It's
Right.
all college kids
Yeah.
working this shit. Every manager that I've ever worked with is scary as fuck. I like, you know, there's always one person who's like the dedicated bouncer.
Yeah.
And it's
Sure.
like, you have, you know, plenty of authority. Now, I know that this guy was like, he was being needlessly aggressive. Also, like, just imagine like a guy in like a white tank top, like in a like fucking, you know, Pac Sun hat, like just like with his like feet all the way up on the reclining chair.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I will never forget that, and it was really funny in hindsight. But
That's crazy.
it's a lot of aggression coming from one guy, just like J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, released in
Saved it.
2014.
dude,
saved
fucking
it.
Facts, dude.
I
Who
didn't
up
save
whipping
shit.
they
If
lash.
you're tuning in,
If you're just now tuning into a podcast,
now tuning
is that
in.
how it works? It's not a live stream just 24/7, and whenever you happen to hop in, you hop in.
I mean, why not? Maybe you scrubbed. Maybe you dropped the needle on, you know, the hour 15
We need
mark.
physical media for our pod. We need vinyl of every
Ooh,
episode.
vinyl podcast.
Oh my
Vinyl
God,
podcast. So what it
dude.
shows.
I think the last thing we were talking about before the break was the ending of the movie.
Yes.
It's a good place to jump
Yes,
back in.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I think that the editing in this
I was
movie
gonna
in
say that.
general is amazing, and I
Fantastic.
think that ending, like, I was the first time I saw this,
I didn't
shook.
breathe.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
amazing.
Yeah.
I was hooked.
Yeah.
I was absolutely hooked.
I mean, not only just like the actual like cutting editing, but like sound editing
Yep.
and the mixing and everything. It's like
I
a
agree.
really, really well put together film. Type movie.
And honestly, it's so funny because, like, I was telling Joe from Gosh Diggity, who I was watching it with, and Cheryl. Shout out Gosh Diggity.
Shout out
but-
Celsius.
Yeah, shout out. I was telling him, I was like, you know, it's really nice to watch a movie about drums because you know that they're actually going to care enough to sync the audio to the drums. You know, versus like any other movie about music, they don't give a shit. And in many, you know, old music videos as well, they won't sync the drum audio up to the physical representation. And it's just like a very frustrating thing for anyone who knows half of anything about how drums work.
Yep.
You know, when you hit the thing, it makes a sound. Is really all you have to comprehend to
That's
notice that.
a lot. That's a lot to process.
Apparently, it is a lot to ask.
Drum go bonk.
Yes, so true. And so yeah, I just it's very satisfying to see everything actually match up in the way that it's supposed to when people are playing drums and you're watching it. It's just like that could just take you out so quickly in a music movie if it's
Yeah.
not synchronized. It's
What-
just like, what are we watching? Like,
And it
this
wouldn't have
is
been
just-
possible if Miles Teller wasn't playing most of his own drums, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't familiar with him to begin with, so
True. I
to,
just
to me he was just a drummer. So
no. He like was primarily an actor and like played drums
that's crazy.
and like I think learned.
I hate
a
when
lot
people
of-
have multiple talents.
Everyone should have one thing.
One
I am
thing.
so sold on this. Everyone deserves
Literally
one thing.
There are too many people in this world have one thing. Okay,
Yep.
We all
You
need to
can't
shine
act
somehow.
and play drums. One thing. Pick
One
one.
thing. One.
You should have been a shitty actor or a shitty drummer.
Completely agree.
Bridget's an actress who plays drums.
I'm not a what?
You were in Local Band
You
the
were in Local Band the
movie.
Movie.
Doesn't make me an actress.
Sure
By
does.
definition, it does.
Definitely not.
When you were in art, well, I guess when you were in music school, like, did people ever like have self-doubt about labeling themselves, like
As what?
as a musician or an artist or anything? Because when I was in art school, I just personally like hated the idea when like about myself, thinking like saying the words like I'm an artist or my art or whatever, and like
Yeah.
and I hated that for a long time.
Try being a philosopher. Am I right?
Nobody can relate here. Sorry.
I know.
Sorry, Tommy.
But I think I got around to kind of being like, yeah, you know what? Let's embrace things that we've done and be more,
I think it's definitely healthy. I don't know. No, I mean, like the environment that I was in music school was definitely everyone. There were a lot of people that definitely were sure of themselves. So
Yeah.
I was probably the one with least. I mean, I was probably the one that was most alternative. I would say, in my class of people, there were a lot of people that were very heavily into classical music, and I was kind of like the sole person that was just kind of a rock person here for the vibes.
Yeah.
And because everybody, most other people that I was in school with were majoring in performance composition, and I was there for the music business aspect. So, just definitely coming from a little bit of different contexts, but still having to, be in the same core classes for whatever reason. So,
Did you, in classical music, did you play like, usual 5-piece kit or whatever? Or was this
I
like
wasn't doing
percussion
drums
stuff?
in school. I was doing classical guitar.
Oh, okay. Got it. I did not know
The
that.
lore.
Because
Lore.
so again, I just really cared about doing music business in college. So I applied to like 9 schools. Everybody's music business program needed an audition except for Columbia.
In
So
Belmont.
I didn't apply there, but
Damn.
yes.
We could have been friends in college.
No way was I going that far for college. But yeah, so then my senior year of high school, I was, there was this 1 month where I was just doing all these auditions, and I didn't know a thing about classical. I just wanted to do music business. So then I looked at my possibilities, and I was like, okay, I mean, I play some guitar, so I guess I'll have to do that to do this other thing. So, got a classical guitar teacher about a year before auditions, and just kind of drilled that until I could kind of fake it, and then faked it enough to get into the school. And
At what point is faking it just doing the thing, though? Because you got into a classical guitar program.
yeah. But the thing about that is that it's not the most competitive field because it's pretty niche. You're only going to have so many people auditioning for that, I think, in the first place, which I think helped my odds. I think if I auditioned, vocally, I mean, obviously I'm not a vocalist, but like that's
whoa.
I'm a yeller. So
That's
I think
awesome.
automatically, I think that's
You just did it. You just did the
It's-
I'm not a...
Well, I agree with that. That's how I feel.
come on.
But that is the most competitive part of that school. Whereas me going in classical guitar, I don't know. I can't imagine there could have been more than. I don't know. I really don't imagine there being more than 20 auditions, but I don't know. I know how to get to where I need to be. I think in most places in life of just like, okay, I understand the expectation, and if I can just kind of rise to that bare minimum expectation, then maybe it'll work out. And I also kind of had this system of telling myself before every audition I went into, of like, oh, I don't want this one. I don't want this one anyway, right? And so I kind of applied that to every school that I auditioned in, and ended up working out. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, but crazy ride, crazy ass ride.
I couldn't imagine going to music school, so respect for doing
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely use a lot of things that I learned unexpectedly. I think especially when I'm, gigging with other bands or filling in for people and things of that nature. It's just, I think there is kind of a learned instinct there that I think didn't always exist in me. So I am grateful for the things that I learned in there. But do I think I should have had to play classical guitar to major in music business? No.
yeah. That,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it is what it is.
Is it like a discipline that you mean that you learned? Like when you say things.
No,
that you picked up?
I mean more in terms of ear training. Like it's 2 years of ear training, so it goes to the point where they're playing chords on the piano, you have to write out the chord, and they're playing a song, you have to write out the song in sheet music as they're playing it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it definitely helped me understand, I think, like music as a concept in general. I think like the ways that things can, I think especially like harmonically, just the ways that things can move and resolve. And I don't know, we were doing like, we were checking out manuscripts from the library and transcribing things from Gregorian archives and things of that nature. So it was really wild. The way that music used to be written. We got really deep into it. It was crazy.
That sounds
so
like
cool.
Harry Potter when they go to the library and they pull out the giant books with the old. Yeah.
J.K. Simmons, amazing author.
Yeah, well done. Actually, this is so much better than never saying the author of Harry Potter's name. Is just saying J.K. Simmons wrote Harry Potter.
He did.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like J.K. Simmons considerably more than... Well, he did it, so it
Not
doesn't
after
matter.
this movie. I hate him.
You are responsible for the actions of all the characters that you portray.
That's
If
true.
you do it well enough, yeah.
Yeah, Heath Ledger. I'm trying to think of other method actors.
Oh my god.
Jared Leto also playing
Jared
the same
Leto.
role and being the worst.
Everyone
We
who's played the
hate him,
Joker,
though.
you've done all the things the Joker's
You've done all the things Joker has done. Timothée Chalamet, Dune 2.
You guys want to see a trick?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin
I'm
running.
sorry.
Jack Nicholson.
Joaquin.
Anyway, good movie. It's my review. Good movie. And J.K. Simmons is an evil man.
I don't want to end on that note. He's
I
so,
do.
No.
He's so... Have you seen Palm Springs?
Yes.
He's so good in that.
I don't remember what he did.
He was the
I remember
guy
Andy
who had the
Samberg.
crossbow and kept shooting it. And I guess he was also a villain in that kind
Oh my
of.
god, he was evil.
But he ends up being good because he ends up coming to terms with it and like accepting his role in the.
I don't
time
remember that
loop.
part. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I love the movie.
I love that movie too.
I love the movie so
It's
much.
a good movie.
Not a lot of movies come out in 2020 because we were all, locked up, but that was a great movie.
That was a great movie. I appreciate that.
He's so good in that.
Yeah.
Do you want to end with everyone saying their favorite line? Because I haven't seen my favorite line in the movie.
Yeah, hit me.
Fuck off, Johnny Utah. Turn my fucking pages, bitch.
Yeah, that's
Hell
a good
yeah.
line.
That's my favorite line in the movie.
That is a really good line.
Johnny Utah is one of the all-time great film names.
Yes.
Oh, that reminds me. I love when he's when J.K. Simmons is like, doing his stupid like act where he's like calling people names and everything, and he's saying all these homophobic slurs to Neiman or whatever, and Neiman, he's saying something like, "No wonder your mom left," or something terrible like that, and the
Yeah.
other kid he's calling homophobic slurs for no reason. And then all that other kid gets is like, "Oh, what are you, Irish?" That's the worst that kid gets is, "Oh, what, leprechaun?"
Yeah.
It's like
Serious?
your mom doesn't love you, and it's like, oh, your hair's red.
Nah, redhead. Like, what?
And it was all part of the plan. It was all part of his Saw plan to get him to be good at
That
drums.
part doesn't add up, but
No, because he had more interesting insults. That was a part of the plan to make him good at drums.
dumb.
Do you have a favorite line?
That's as close as I can remember.
I heard.
Fair enough.
I have two kind of. One's not a spoken line. There is a poster, I think, and it's in his room, and it's like a picture of a jazz musician. It says, "You could be playing rock music." You see that one?
Okay.
No, I missed that. That's awesome.
I don't understand what that
It's
means.
like it's
Because
like
rock music's easy. That's
Rock's
the
easy.
bit.
jazz.
I don't think so.
Jazz
I don't
good.
think so.
I think everything's hard.
Yeah, you can make
Wow.
anything as hard as or as easy as you want it to be.
I think everything's pretty hard.
I think
honestly.
Neiman should have played some fucking Kiss, man. He should.
Yeah.
True, honestly.
It's Macy DC just 4 on the floor for 3.5 minutes.
4 on the motherfucking floor, dude.
Neiman should have played some White Stripes.
Sure. Yeah, you're pretty good looking for a girl.
You should have sang that to Melissa Benoist or whatever, however you say your last name. Benoist? Is it French or is it not French?
I thought it was Benoist.
I have no idea. I kept reading it as Benoist because I took
Benoist?
French in college.
Oh, that was the love interest.
That was the love
Yeah,
interest,
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of, which is like the one thing that made
I
me
love
not.
how she completely fucked off. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Real.
Should have. Yeah.
I also
Would've
like
too.
I wrote, this is actually another note I totally missed almost, was it's a pretty good writing device, but the fact that like he decides to ask her out on a date because she remembered that he likes Swedish fish. It's like like I feel like in most other movies he would be like, hey, you want to go out on a date? And she'd be like, what the fuck? Just because I asked if you like Swedish fish.
Good candy though. I love Swedish fish.
Yeah,
It's
good.
fine.
Yeah, they're good.
What?
Eh?
It's the Lamborghini of the gummies. You guys know what that's from?
No.
Oh, Hello on Broadway,
Oh, I have seen that.
where he's like the Lamborghini of the gummies.
Don't remember that, but it's a great
God
play.
damn, I love Oh Hello.
It's a great play.
It's so good.
Yeah, you're pretty good
looking
gummy.
for
all right.
a fish.
Yeah,
We should write
This is the
parody
content,
songs.
you know. Like
This is what we need to put on vinyl.
This is it, man. My favorite line is, "There are no two words more harmful than good job."
I hate that. That's your favorite line?
I'm joking.
I'm joking.
you?
I'm joking.
Are you?
I think it's a great line for the purpose of the movie.
Yeah, I'll give you
Hate
that.
it.
I do love when the Joker says, "I'm joking."
Another great line is when he says the key is to just relax.
Oh my
J.K. Simmons says
God.
that to Neiman. I laughed so fucking hard.
Let's all work that into our stage banter. Hey, everybody, the key is just to relax.
Jesus Christ.
I have never once been relaxed on a stage in my life.
No,
me
me
tell
Dude, you
you
should
that.
try wearing sunglasses. Let me tell you.
Did it help?
Wearing sunglasses is freeing.
I take anxiety meds before I perform. And I still don't relax. Is it sunglasses
Check
the
out
key?
sunglasses.
All right,
Pretty good.
I'll do it.
This podcast is sponsored by Big Sunglasses.
Yes, it is. Cool.
Bridget, any
Thanks for
closing
tuning in.
thoughts?
It is your show.
Drum.
Sure.
Good movie, drum.
Yeah.
I was drumming. I used to play the drums.
Anyone have anything to plug while we're here?
Not for real.
I don't.
Hey, Bridget, you want to plug anything?
Want to plug anything?
Oh. Nah.
I hear. It doesn't
No.
matter. Okay, that's fine.
Nah, I don't.
Okay,
I
Cool's
don't
playing
care.
in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Nobody's
this
here.
Summer.
Nobody's here.
Thank you.
Okay, Cool's
Thanks,
playing.
guys. We're playing. Check it out.
There's
Yeah.
another one. I saw another one announced. It was.
That's very kind.
Hold on, I got you.
I know it.
Okay.
It's not in this state for sure.
Yeah.
It's in South Bend.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
Good memory,
yep.
dude. Yeah. The 6th of April. You know.
So for all our South
All our
Benders
South
and our green
Benders.
bowlers, you know where the
Our
fuck to
green
be.